feels that she's the queen of this group.
I'm here to meet the mystery man. I just melt.
You're just a new toy.
Oh my gosh, you
The Real Housewives of Durban season 3 episode 1 came with a lot of drama. Like this is the very first season, first episode. But this first episode had a lot of drama for viewers to actually enjoy. Yeah, so I'm actually glad that the Real Housewives of Durban is back, and this season 3 is just like a bucket full of drama, spicy. Like a bucket full of drama. Let me just put it that way. Yeah, but I'm so glad that the Housewives came back with this new character. That's like the returning cast. You understand? I feel like this time around, nobody wants to be like, nobody wants to slack behind. Everybody came like fire because I used to see Sorisha as like the kind of collected one, but this time around, she's still collected. She's still queenly, but she don't want to be pushed around. And this is the Real Housewives of Durban season 3, episode 1 review, and you're going to enjoy because these women are doing great with the show. And I feel like this franchise of the Real Housewives of Real Housewives, this installation, the Real Housewives of Durban is like one of the best. Yeah. So the very first we were introduced to the housewives and their tagline, and Nonku had like she's beauty with the brains and she's full package. We had Jojo where she said she has always been a wealth girl and she's still a wealth girl, but she is so rich. That's like okay, now so let us see what this world rich girl has for us this season. Then for the third person, Maria, she said she is a world like in a world full of options. She is like I think she said she wants it all. Then Mbele says she's shy. She's sweet, but if you put her in a room, she'll light up the room. And that's so true about Mbele. With the very short period of time we're able to see her in this first episode, she is very, very shy. She's reserved. But we've not really seen the sweet side of her, but we see her to be a very reserved person. It's not it's bad, it's good that we have this type of person, but it's actually going to be bad for her because at the end of the season, people will be like, oh, she can go, she can go. I feel like this same thing happened to what's this woman from the last season? I've forgotten the name. There's this woman, the media personality from the last season. I don't know why I'm not remembering the name. So she was like very, very reserved and she did not make it to like this third season. So I feel like Mbali should actually not take like too much time trying to engage herself with the housewives, but try to be there. So if she really wants to be on the show for a very long time and gather people who support and see the person she is, but it's actually nice for them to be themselves and not try to force a narrative or a character on viewers. So it's also very good for them to be so real with themselves. It's a reality TV show for a reason. Yeah, so after all of them introduced themselves with their tagline. For Slee, she said I don't even know what Slee said. Then Annie talked about diamond and diamond and diamond. So it's actually very great. Then after the tagline, after they introduced themselves, the very first episode, I had to just kind of jot this thing down so I can actually give you guys the narration like the way it is. So the very first scene was that of Jojo. Okay, so the very first event we had this season is the Princess Soiree. So it was hosted by Jojo, and Jojo actually outdid herself with this soiree. It's actually very nice. It's like the housewives came wonderful, they were beautiful, their gowns were like, oh my god, spectacular. The carriage, like it was a wonderful event, and even the location where the event actually happened was giving royalty. When I say it's giving royalty, it was really, really giving royalty. So the Real Housewives of Durban went like it's actually very, very nice. It was given royalty. So the first scene we had Jojo, and she had this car and she talked about having been so rich and rich. So I actually like one thing that did not really waste too much time introducing the new cast. You get, they just introduced them and just so we should not waste too much time. Like they had so much drama for us this season, and it's actually very wonderful. So they introduced us with Jojo. Jojo was like there, and she called Mbali that should be having this. No, it was not Mbali. Who did she call? She called. Yeah, it was Mbali. I'm very, very sorry. That should be having a Princess Soiree, and she wants her to sing. So Mbali is a singer and an actress, and she's doing well for herself in the South African entertainment industry. So they after that they showed Nanko. Nonku stays in her estate. She's living large. She's staying beautiful. So Nonku went to visit this one of the new cast, which is Slee, and then we introduced to Slee. Nonku and Slee. Nonku visited Slee. Slee stays in Nonku's estate, and they had this conversation about like the life they live, like their sexual life. So Slee said for Nonku, she said she has been celibate for a year. Oh my god. I don't know if that's true, but she said she has been celibate for a year. That I think September or so, and I'm so sure they filmed the show last year. So perhaps she was talking about last year September. Then I think from like 2022 to 2023, she has been celibate. Then for Slee we talked about uh ex-husband. So Slee is a single mother of two. She has two kids and she's doing fine for herself. She's not like the flamboyant people like doing well for themselves in South African society, like in Durban. So Slee talked about her ex. So she said she dated the man for 6 years, and after dating this man for 6 years, he broke up with her, and 3 months after they break up, he got married to someone else. That is the height of it. Getting married to someone else in 3 months. So it's actually something like planned. Like, okay, this man has been seeing this person and he just intentionally quits with her, break up with her just to go get married to that person. So she says she's heartbroken about it and she really liked this man. So they had a conversation and that was the end. And okay, so Nonku told Slee that she would like her to meet her friends. So that's like I guess that was how Slee was introduced to the other cast of the show. So after this, we had Sorisha and Annie. Annie went to visit Sorisha, and when they visit, like when during the visit, so Annie and Sorisha discussed about how the reunion from the last season. Now, for during the last season, they had this conversation about the other wives. That was like Konko, Mabusi, and Nanko gossiping Sorisha and Annie. You know Annie, like she's like mean. Yeah, I'll say that Annie is mean. So she was like Sorisha was not supposed to be finding excuse for them. She was supposed to, but Sorisha was like no, she just want everything to go. And Sorisha just like she explained herself. They talked about how Sorisha had not always been in touch, and Annie complained about how Sorisha had not been picking her call. So I think they were cool, and that was the end of the conversation. So now the next thing that happened was Annie. They showed Annie with her sister and a friend, and they discussed about the housewives. And she talked about how she and Nanko are always not really getting along, and that was something that we really saw throughout the very first season, the first 2 seasons. Yeah. So after this, then the Nonku, they showed Nonku's house again. Nonku like invited, and she invited Sorisha, Jojo, and Slee to her house. I think for a lunch or something. So Jojo was there first. So Jojo and Nonku had conversation about their friendship. So for the last season, I knew Jojo was not very close to Nonku. Maybe I'm mistaken. Probably it's because it's a while we watched this season too. But like this, their friendship is actually new. So I don't know what it's going to be like. So now Jojo and Uncle had this wonderful friendship, and I don't know what this friendship will be or what it will really turn out on the long run. So Jojo and Uncle were cool. Then Surisha joined, Slee joined. So why they were having this conversation? And what was her name? Nonku decided to be messy. Yeah. Why am I saying this is a Nonku could okay, let me explain what happened. First, Nonku introduced her friend Slee to them and she was like, they live in the same estate, they've been friends for a while. Then I think there was this conversation about who is more of Nonku's friends between so it was like kind of struggle of who is Nonku's friend between Slee and Jojo. So Slee threw this bombshell that Jojo is just Nonku's toy. So I don't know, probably maybe that was what got Nonku mad. We don't know. So Nonku then was like, okay, Slee told us something about Jojo, but she won't bring it up. And Jojo, I feel Slee is like kind of fearless. So um this conversation is something Nonku and Slee had, which as a friend, Nonku is not supposed to bring to that table. He's not supposed to bring to that conversation. So Jojo was like, so since you've already given her hints that I said something, so just let it go. Just say it. So but Nonku was being like, she don't want to really talk. So Slee was like, okay, I'm going to talk. I'm going to say what I said. So and I actually commend Slee for doing this, because if she had not actually had this conversation, Jojo might be thinking what she had said is even way more than what really happened. So Slee took the on by the bull. Abby took the bull by the on. Yeah, she took the bull by the on by actually talking, by actually repeating what she had said. So she was of the perception that Jojo is the main girl. Jojo is the main girl. And why she's saying this is because of the season two. She said that was what she got from social, and probably haven't seen the formal seasons of the show. How Jojo was so mean to Mabusi and questioning the quality of a bag, if it's truly a designer bag or not. So I haven't seen Jojo in that perspective from the formal season. So she feel like Jojo is mean. And I feel this is something Nonko wasn't supposed to bring. Nonko was just supposed to just let them have this connection, and Slee will justify for herself if Jojo is truly who she had actually seen her to be, or maybe Jojo is a better person. So now Nonko bringing this, now we not really make these two housewives actually blend and do well with any friendship they decide to have. So they had this conversation. Then after this, and Slee felt bad about what Nonko did, and I feel like Nonko she not try, like Nonko did not do well bringing such conversation up. So they had conversation about Annie. So Nonko gave them reason why she did not really invite Annie. So before the show, they attended an event, I think, which was hosted by Sorisha and her husband. So during the event, so Nonko was like, Annie was being protective of her husband around her. That was the idea she's trying to pass, and she had to tell her to leave where they were sitting, or the seat, something like that. So they narrated the story, but we're not really there, so and we don't really know how it played out. But that was like the idea Nonko was trying to pass, and she was like, if it was Sorisha, if it was Jojo, because they are married, Annie would have not been like that. So she feel like Annie is insecure, like about her husband around probably single women like her. So um and what was this girl's name? Sorisha, woman I mean. So Sorisha feels like she's friend with Annie, and to not be nice, I've been in that conversation, which seemed like a gossip. So they actually told Nonko if she can actually have this conversation with Annie, and she was like, yes, she can have the conversation with Annie. She and that she will actually repeat herself. She's going to do this, Nonko now. So she was like, she's going to have this conversation. Fine, that ends the day and the conversation for the night. So the next thing was the big party, which is the Princess Soiree. Yeah, so the Princess Soiree was actually a very nice one, but Jojo and Slee, and it was actually a very nice one. Yeah, Jojo and Slee fighting first mate. So that was that. So the Princess Soiree, that was where we introduced Maria. Soiree was the Princess Soiree was an actually wonderful event, and it hosted, and it was wonderful. Yeah, for sure it was. So this event was when we were introduced to Maria. Maria is doing great. I think she has a child and a husband, and she's like one of these fabulous women on the show. So it seemed Maria seemed to be hot-headed too, and I feel she and Sorisha we have this, I won't say personality clash, but like I feel the very first two seasons, Sorisha had always been the queen bee. I know like me saying the queen bee is in the concept, is of the idea that it's not as if she's forcing them to see her as a queen bee. You get, like Annie is forcing herself to see her as a queen bee. But Sorisha, her aura, her presence, everything just make her be in that position. She is not really, and I'm so sure Maria is not cool with her. I'm sure Maria have seen season one, season two, and she wants to be the Sorisha of the show. I don't know if this will be wrong on the long run when we say show, but this is how I feel about Maria. So she was introduced to the show, and I think she's friend with Jojo, so she helps Jojo arrange the place and the rest. So the party started. So it was very actually wonderful how the guests were kind of introduced to the party. They had this horse carriage. We brought them in, and it was a very wonderful event. Sincerely, the environment was beautiful, and it just makes you see like, oh my God, Durban is a beauty. I'm so sure Durban is a beautiful city. It's not just about how it was portrayed in this franchise of the Real Housewives, but for the fact that Durban is a beautiful city. So after they all attended, and Mbali has been like, she's been oh my god, she's been met by JoJo to host, to sing for her during a Princess Soiree. But now Mbali is nowhere to be found. And let me give you guys a kind of backdrop conversation, be kind of throwback conversation. I think that'll be better. So in the season 2 we had Londi London, and Londi is a singer too. But during one of JoJo's events, JoJo invited Londi to come sing at the event, but Londi did not show up. And why? Londi was of the idea that she was supposed to be booked, and I feel like this time around, Jojo is making that same mistake. And she was even throwing shade when she was inviting Mbali that I hope you will not be the kind of told me you will not do this in 2 hours, like 2 hours to the event. We just as Londi did something. And she did not really mention Londi in that conversation, but we knew she was trying to refer to what Londi did in the season 2. So Mbali was like she's going to come. But Mbali came late, extremely late. She was very, very late. Why did so? My own opinion is that Jojo is making the same mistake she made the very in season 2. You invited Londi. Londi did not kind of turn up because she was not booked professionally. She feels like she's a professional singer, so she should be booked. So you'll be doing the same thing. I feel like she should have booked Mbali the same way. If she had actually professionally booked Mbali, paid her. Is either Mbali will say no to the gig and be like, oh, I can't sing, or I won't be available, I'll come to event, but for that day I cannot sing. Or probably Mbali would have known that okay, I'm being paid for this, and she will surely, surely, surely turn up for it because she knows she will be paid. But I feel because of this, Mbali decided like, I beg, I don't feel sing. Mbali decided to come late, so that probably by the time she come, the event would have gone far and she just have to be part of the guest and not be of the singer. But for the fact that she was supposed to sing, the housewives pressured her and she sang a verse while she was sitting. So after that, they had this truth or dare game, which was just so there, not so spectacular. Yeah, I'll say that. Then Honey, being the nosy housewife, was like she's meeting the new some of the housewives for the very first time, and she liked them to introduce themselves. Then she was like Mbali, then she was throwing questions to Mbali, and got to the point when she asked Mbali if she had kids, and Mbali said no. And here we'll find out that Mbali once had kids, but these kids are dead. I don't know if they are kids or just a kid. But so, and that was like a very emotional moment for Mbali, and she really, really cried. So that was that. Then they now brought up the conversation. So Sorisha brought up the conversation about Nonku and Annie issue. You get, so Sorisha was like, um Nonku had, okay, she was like, Nonku should have a conversation with Annie after the dinner, or everything. So Nonku was like, why would Sorisha decide to do that? That she will have conversation with Annie when she wants to have conversation with Annie. But Sorisha was of the idea that you've actually said you're going to have this conversation, so why are you shying away from it? You get. And before this, Sorisha took Slee aside to have conversation about her, and in her confessional, she was like, she is trying to make a kind of a she's trying to take Slee to her side in the group. So I feel like I feel Sorisha had this feeling that these housewives might not really really get her back. You get, like, someone like Nonku, she don't really know so much. She don't really have the perfect friendship. So she wanted someone to her side, and she knows Slee before, and now she had conversation with Slee about Nonku, and she said like, and I feel like they kind of had this conversation that what Nonku did in her house by throwing Slee under the bus was very, very wrong, and they kind of decided to be friends. That's Sorisha and Slee. So they want to fight this battle together. So they decided to do the same thing which Nonku did to Slee to Nonku. They paid her in her own coin by bringing up the conversation which they had in private on the table. And now Nonku was like, no, she should not have this conversation. And I feel like Nonku should have had that conversation if she had the balls enough. Because she was talking while she had that conversation about Annie in her house, about being insecure about her husband. She was like, I'm going to have a conversation with her. I'm going to have this conversation. So now they're telling me to have this conversation. She should have just like, okay, yes, I'm going to have a conversation with her, but to be in private. Well, Nonku is not agreeing. She's like, she's going to do it when she was just trying to avoid it. And that was that. So Annie was like pressing to know what happened, but we don't know how they really get to resolve that. So now that was the end for the very first episode. I think there's more drama to come because now we don't know how Annie and Nonku will have to sort this. How Nonku will really get, we really kind of have to be. How should we feel about Sorisha and Slee bringing up this topic? And I feel like this time around, Sorisha is ready to play the game because the regular Sorisha we know even bring up this topic. Sorisha will just let it be. Sorisha is just always just this peaceful one, queenly one. But this time around, she's staying queenly, but she's being messy. Thank you.